gives me great delight now to introduce our political keynote for this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, dear delegates, here to give his keynote address, please welcome the Ministry of Energy Minister of Romania, ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian Burduja.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Electric. Congratulations to the new team, the existing team, and it's very nice to stand in front of you today. A former president from across the ocean once said that the most frightening words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." I will try not to frighten you too much this morning. I am from the government. I'm here mostly to listen. But since I have the floor, I'll let you in on a few thoughts that we have on the eastern flank. We are weathering together a perfect storm. We've had a pandemic, an economic crisis. We have a war going on, and we've seen the sobering images on the big screen. And in the middle of all this, we have an energy transition and a climate crisis. Doesn't get any more interesting than that. And I don't think we can solve it if we don't stand together. We need money. Thank God for EU funds. Romania, over the past 2 years, has gotten about 14 billion euros in grant funding for its green transition. And much of that has gone into green energy production. I'll speak more about it a bit later. We need will, political will, and we also need the people to do it. But above all, in my opinion, we need true unity. Europe as a whole needs to be credible. European citizens need to believe in Brussels. And for that, Brussels needs to stand true to its principles, its founding principles. And it all started with the union of coal and steel. But today, we are in a market where literally today, the day-ahead market prices for Romania are about 93 euros. I think it's about the same in Greece, Bulgaria. In France, it's about 17. Austria, it's about 80. Doesn't sound like a single market to me. And if you look at the map, it doesn't take a genius to realize that we're not interconnected. There are two countries in the middle of Europe that are not interconnected at all. And hence, that explains part of the high prices on the eastern flank on most days. Sometimes we have wind blowing, and the answer is blowing in the wind, as the commissioner said. And on those days, of course, Western Europe could benefit from more interconnections, but ultimately it's about principle. And the principle is, let us have a single EU market, and let us put the right kind of pressure or incentive on the countries that are not sufficiently interconnected to do so. That will be to the benefit of us all. I think the second thing we need is wisdom. Of course, we like here in Europe and in Brussels, big words, big themes, big topics, ambitious visions. But at the end of the day, it is about people's livelihoods. And throughout my time as Minister of Energy, perhaps the hardest moment I went through was in Jiu Valley. And for those of you who don't know Romania, it's a coal country. And I went down into a coal mine 300 meters below. And when I came out, one of the coal miners came up to me and said, Mr. Minister, and my staff tried to block him, and I said, let him through. And he said, Mr. Minister, look at my hands. And he showed me the darkest, hardest worked hands I'd ever seen in my life. And he said, it's all nice and good about those windmills and solar panels, but I'm just trying to put food on my family's table. What about me? And I went silent. And I realized that if we will not have a solution for everybody, if we will leave people behind, the energy transition will not happen. And if you think about why the winds of isolationism and extremism and other isms are blowing so hard throughout Europe today, come to Jiu Valley and ask those people. I think we have left them behind. I think we need better solutions for them, for retraining them, for giving them the opportunities that come along with this transition. I think we also need to invest wisely the money that we do have. Since 2001, if I'm not mistaken, Directive number 77, we have subsidized the production of green energy. There is still not enough money for our grids, and I'm happy that was up on that panel earlier, grids. The key here is that with grants, you can modernize your grid without passing that cost to the final consumer in many cases. Romania has signed about 1.9 billion euros in grid modernization, transport, and distribution, but it's really not enough. I believe Acer has a study that says by 2050 we need about 100 billion euros per year in modernizing our grids. Euroelectric says about 67 or so. Still a lot of money, and we're not there yet. So speaking of the Commission, the way we design the next programming period, I would love to see a lot of money invested in our grids because indeed, and that's just a factual truth beyond any kind of controversy, there is no transition without transmission. And last but not least, I would say we need indeed leadership. If you look around the world and around Europe, there's very few leaders around there, I would say. And there is a saying that with great power comes great responsibility. And that responsibility belongs to each of you, myself included. I don't think we need to look for saviors, because we won't find many in today's world. I think we need to truly look within ourselves, what each of us is doing, in our companies, in the government maybe, in civil society. What could we be doing better? So as you go through this wonderful summit, as you go home to where you hail from, please take this message back. What could each of us be doing? How can each of us be a leader? I believe that in today's world, the leaders are sitting right here in this room. And if you don't believe me, look around you, and you'll be optimistic again. Thank you very much.